Look, look. Nice screens. Good afternoon, people. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I don't know who's watching. I haven't done these live videos before on YouTube. This is my first time. So, if you are watching me, you can let me know and we can talk and you can give me the thoughts. As you can see from my title on this live video is about the presidential inauguration as well as the appointments. Now, I don't really show my face in some of these videos, so this is the person behind the political analysis, and I'll analyze just the political situation in Zambia. As we all know, we've ushered in the new president, who's Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. Now, before I go into the all details about my presidential analysis, and now I'm looking at it, I would like to again mention, because the time I was covering the political, the UPND being gassed and things like that, I was accused of being biased, which is not the case. I'm non-partisan, I'm a citizen of Zambia, so I say things that occur to me and how I see them and how I just look at things and analyze the situation. So here it is. So those people that were accusing me of being biasness, I even said in my videos, like even if the UPND government come into power, I will still hold them accountable to their promises, and we will talk about such things. As a citizen, you've got the right to criticize or analyze the political situation because you're part of the people that voted that government into power. So I don't know who's watching, so you can comment so I know who's watching. And I just want to take your thoughts about these appointments. But first of all, we're going to start with the inauguration ceremony. So the inauguration ceremony has kind of put mixed feelings, or maybe has got different views from different supporters of both parties, which is the PF party as well as the UPND party, right? So what happened on the inauguration ceremony, you guys also saw there was some booing of the former president, who was Mr. Edgar Chagwa, and also there was some mishaps in the UPND government. So the booing for me, where I stood from, the booing of the president, Mr. Edgar Chagwa, I had to condemn it. Like for me, that was so not necessary. This man was handing over power to the new government in peace. So I felt like that was so not necessary for the people to boo the president. And my concern was, the president now, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, basically was supposed to also condemn the booing, considering the fact that he's been preaching about doing what's right. But in his speech, I feel like he never really tackled any booing that happened towards Mr. Lungu. I'm not saying Mr. Lungu is a perfect person. We've all known what has transpired the past 7 years, and this is the reason people wanted change in Zambia. But at the same time, the man was handling over power in a very peaceful transformation, in a peaceful way. So the booing on my part was not necessary. This is why I say I analyze politics, not because I'm in support of a particular party, but because some things are just wrong and other people just go with the flow. You understand what I mean? So the booing in the first place was not necessary, and it shouldn't have been even praised. It should be condemned, because already the citizens won at the end of the day. Ushering somebody out of power, then you've won. You don't necessarily need to start being disrespectful and trying to like what happened. Second of all, I want to talk about the second thing. I want to talk about the inauguration ceremony that actually was so it was kind of surprising, the handing over of power. Now that power, the instrument of power, normally over the years when we've seen the transition of power, we've seen the instrument of power being taken from the sitting president to the chief justice and to the president. So on that part, my concern was, the instrument of power is a very, very delicate thing, and it's important. It's just, you don't just give it to any individual, just don't give it to anybody else. The instrument of power, in that you have seen the pictures, was given to the president, and he later given his personal bodyguard. I think like the personal bodyguard should not even have touched the instrument of power, because it's that important, it's that special. It was not meant to be touched anyhow. The president was supposed to hold that instrument of power. I think, in my view, and over the years, the things that have been, we've all seen throughout the transition of power, he was supposed to hold it himself, not hand it over to any individual, but himself, because over the years that's been the transition. So giving the bodyguard, the personal bodyguard, the instrument of power was also an error that I have seen in the UPND government and forming. So you can say your thoughts, but that's what I feel like. The instrument of power was not supposed to be handed over to a personal bodyguard. Regardless of how much you trust that bodyguard, that instrument of power is supposed to be just in the hands of the president. There's a reason why it's been like that. Third thing that I saw, that I would say that was also a bit of a shock, was the inspecting of what you call it. This is the guard of honor. The guard of honor, the inspection. Again, our president was inspecting the guard of honor. He's not supposed. I think the person that is, what's his name? I don't even know his name, but the guy that was his personal bodyguard, if I must put it, he wasn't supposed to walk down that red carpet to inspect the guard of honor. That guard of honor, there's a reason why he had the guy that was leading in the way and inspecting that. The president was supposed to walk with his instrument of power around the guard of honor. And correct me if I'm wrong, that was not how you cannot get an ordinary person and start inspecting the guard of honor. That man is just an ordinary person. He can be a trustee, yes, but he was supposed to remain. If he needed to take somebody, he was supposed to take the bodyguard that the government had provided at that time. Even him, he knows that bodyguard, because he was left behind. He knew he was not supposed to walk with the president on that red carpet to inspect the guard of honor. That's another thing that really just, I've been like looking and wondering what's going on. But anyway, it's a new government. It comes with its own rules, and we have to give it time to actually see how they're going to lead the nation. So those are the things about the inauguration ceremony that I saw was not really to accordance with how it's supposed to be practiced. Like, I condemn the booing. I also feel like the handing of the instrument of power was not supposed to be given to the guard, the bodyguard, and also the guard of honor. Then let's get to the appointments now. The president has started obviously appointing his cabinet, his new cabinet, and also has started firing of people in Zambia, where like he's just firing people that have not been, been doing their job right, which is very acceptable and expected. And while some of the appointments can be said to be good, some of these appointments have made me have a concern, and some of these appointments I feel like they much more can be done with his appointment. First of all, I want to talk about the appointment of Finance Minister Mr. Stumbeko Musokotwani. So the president has appointed Mr. Musokotwani as the finance minister of Zambia, which is like, listen, Mr. Musokotwani has got credible, like his credibility of work and his experience is amazing. His profile, his portfolio is outstanding. It's admirable, and we should give credit where it's due. That's why I'm saying it's admirable. My concern is Mr. Dr. Musokotwani, the finance minister, was once in the MMD government. If you recall very well, in the MMD government, he ruled from 2008 to 2011 until SATA came to take over. Now, the hiring of is 65 years of age, and whilst everybody else in Zambia is up on their seats celebrating, I am sitting down and trying to look from a distance and just wonder, why are we bringing back people that have ruled the country? And I think this is the problem that we've had in Zambia over the years, and I think this is the problem that we actually didn't want to see in the PF government, where like people that have been ruling for centuries, for decades, are the same people that are ruling. How is it changed? That's my question. That's my analysis. You're welcome to say, oh yeah, I've seen lots of comments on social media to say, oh, we don't have time for experimenting, we need experience, we need what. But my question to you guys is, how you're going to have experience if the same type of people are the same people that have been holding that position for a number of years? People are saying, oh, why should you mean you can hire youth in such a position, finance position? I agree that the financial position or the financial roles is a very, very big task, but at the same time, we need to call a spade a spade. 65 years of age. By the time the UPND's term runs out, he'll be 70 years of age. So for me, I feel like maybe the president can do more to, putting this kind of people as maybe advisors to the financial sector, or the financial ministerial position of the finance, and hire people that, because I feel like Zambia's got so many talents, so many qualified people that can actually be in such roles and given a chance, that is. And I know the president says he's hiring people based on merits, but Mr. Musokotwani, for example, is 65 years old, is about to be in his retirement age, and then you recall people and then you just put them in that position. That doesn't give room for other people to have the chance to be in such kind of position, because they've been holding such positions for a very, very, very long time, and they're still holding. This is 2021. People that were like 11 years ago in that position are the same people that we bring in after 11 years of, after 11 years, you still recall them because they've got experience. So that's also my view on it. I'm not saying he cannot do the job. I'm not saying he's not, he's not experienced. I agree his credibility is admirable. But at the same time, if we're moving forward as Zambian youths, like in my previous video on this YouTube channel, we need to start taking up leadership roles. Like youths, young people, 40 years of age, 35 years of age, should take up leadership roles. Hold on. I'm coming. You understand? Like, leadership roles should be also given to people that are young, people that are youths, for them to have experience, for them to have the capability to lead their own country. Because you're talking of experience, how is a 30-year-old, for example, like me, is gonna have an experience for 5 years to be in that position if not given a chance? Third of all is the firing of the commander or the army commander. I agree with the firing of Inspector General of Police. That should have been done. It was long overdue. And so in as much as we're supporting the president and agreeing to every decision, I think this is a very critical time for us to also analyze and watch closely what's happening. Watch closely what's happening. Because Right now, the atmosphere is up in the seat. Everybody's excited. Everybody's celebrating. But at the same time, I would like to take a step backwards and just watch closely what's happening in the country with this hiring and firing. IGI said it's fine. He needed to be done like that. But obviously, on the ground, it's a different story. We might think he's been fired, but we have not. He's actually not been fired. So anyway, that's a story for another thing. But the firing of the army commander. I'm not saying the person that has been appointed in that position is the wrong person, is not capable of doing his job. I'm not saying that. Get me right. I'm just saying I would like to find out exactly what wrong the army commander did, and even if he did something wrong, I feel it's too early to start restructuring the army, because the army is a very, very, regulated service. It's got its own rules and regulations, and it goes, in stages and what. I feel like it's very, very early to start actually tackling the army. Other things like police restructuring is okay, yeah, you can restructure the police, but the army, you have to do it very cautiously and also very diligently, because the army don't get involved in political things. The army are there to serve the people. The army are there to protect the people. That's why you found that on the 12th of August, people were able to vote wisely and peacefully, because the army were deployed on the ground. The army is there to protect. They don't get involved in politics. So I feel like the firing of the army commander as at now is very, very early. It's too early, and I feel like the president, in his own way, I know he's trying to do right and he was one to do these promises, but these are the mistakes the PF government was making. These are the mistakes that PF government, they want to please a lot of people at once. It doesn't work like that. I think it has to be done very diligently and cautiously in this kind of firing. In as much as others deserve to be fired, we can also learn from the people that have been in that position for a very long time. For example, the army commander, they know a lot of stuff, those people, stuff that even the president themselves don't even know. Even like the citizens of Zambia don't even know. There's so much things going on, especially when it comes to the army. They know stuff. They know like the state house and things like that. And I feel like maybe you can do better to like learning from these army commander, maybe even keep them for 1 or 2 years so that you learn around them, and maybe you can then dispose them of, or should I say fire them, not dispose them of, fire them and hire somebody else that you really, really feel like, okay, now this is the person I need. I think there's a saying that says, I'm not saying they're enemies, but it says keep your enemies closer. There's like, you can learn from these people. Like just firing an army commander is for me, I feel it's a very, very it's a bold move, but it also has to be thought for. So in as much as everybody's celebrating, I told you I used to support, I was behind the change in government. I'm behind the old change, but I also am very practical and very objective when it comes to the politics and everything related to the governing of the nation, because in as much as we are up and celebrating, in as much as all the there's excitement in the country, we've changed the government, we need to step down a little bit and just be cautious and then look around of what's going on. So far, we've got the defense minister, who is Musokotwani, and we also have the army commander, who is Muluwizi. Muluwizi is Lozi. We've got also the ZAF, who's Kaonde. And so if you look at the IG also, I'm not trying to talk about tribalism here, but if you look at the appointments closely and analyze who's in such kind of position, you might just start wondering if the former party in power, are you giving them credibility? Because you are giving them a loophole to actually say, you see, we told you, look at how these people are hiring. You know what I mean? They'll come out. You're giving them a loophole to come out and say, we told you this is what these people are. Because already our president was accused, actually, was accused of, you know, being tribalistic. And I feel like maybe the president can, like, you know, be a little bit cautious in the hiring and firing, because it's giving the loophole of the opposition to actually come back in and point fingers and say, we told you. Even if you said they're hiring on merits, you know, politics is a very, very dangerous game. It's also a very, very, you know, deep. It's just, it's hard. I need a drink. So I feel like I'm sitting here, and I just feel like we as citizens, we've got the rights, like the president said, to criticize. In as much as you criticize, obviously you have to be cautious in the way you criticize. No insult, no defamation of character. But at the same time, you need to, you know, relax a bit and go backwards and just bright, well, shine boy. We're not shine bright. I'm very well, thank you. Take back and start looking from a distance, because in as much as we are happy and excited, we need to, like, also hold our leaders accountable. And if we don't start speaking now and then realize later that maybe some of these the things that are being put in place are not actually right, it might be too late. So anyway, that's my today's analysis. That's how I look at how these how it's going so far. It's only been through 1 week in office, so we have to actually, okay, don't say much, give it time and see where everything is going. But at the moment, it's 50-50. We're happy of certain people being hired and fired, and I feel like most of the Zambians right now, because they're so hyper and happy and whatever, they're not seeing other things, you know. And I feel like our president should just, I don't know. I'm not. I don't. I'm not an advisor of anything, but this is my analysis, and it doesn't reflect any Zambian out there. But this is how I look. Like the way I said it before, I did the analysis of the ruling of Patriotic Front and the UPND. I even said, oh, I will start talking about the UPND, because I'm talking as a citizen of my country and not as anybody who's affiliated with this politics or anything. I saw a comment from is it Mundia? You have a good logic mindset of thinking. John Munga, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I try to be very practical and, you know, objective. In as much as I am celebrating, I take a step backwards, and then I just try to be cautious with these hiring and firing. For me, there's some errors being made, but because Zambians are very hyper and they are so happy that they've changed the government, are not seeing the errors. Others are just in support and clapping and jumping up and down. But I feel like some of these hiring might have an impact in the future if we're not careful and if we don't question them. Because the president is just a person and is bound to make mistakes, and is not perfect. But right now we just there. But this video, people will come back to it and just one day we'll take sense out of what I'm saying. I'm not against the ruling party. You've all seen I've been with the ruling party. I've been actually an advocate for change in Zambia. But at the same time, I like to be very, very, very conscious of the things going round. Seeing from a distance, I think there's been some errors in the president hiring so far. The cabinet is not yet complete. We're looking at the names that are coming up, and some of these names are actually very, very disappointing. But I'll do that video later. John C. I can't see the, okay. John, true, but there could be more behind scenes we ain't sure of. The way of the army commander, defense army conduct himself before I can't see before trust in the importance as well. Trust is very important. I agree with you. We don't know what's going on, but at the same time, this is my point. The army, you have to be even Wanawasa, Sata, Rupia Banda, they didn't just come in government a week and start firing the army. They could have touched the other sectors of services, but the army, they kept maybe a year or two and then they fire them. You know what I mean? And then they do the restructuring and whatsoever. I feel like I don't want to alarm anything or say things that are not there, but for me, I've got this feeling that it's just too early to touch the army, especially army commanders, because in the army, there are, loyalties. There are people that are very, very loyal. You know what I mean? Like commanders and things like that. So I just feel it's too early. It's actually very early for touching the army. Police, I don't mind. You can restructure the police. And before I go, I forgot the firing of all provincial commissioners. Like what? Every single one of them in 10 provinces. 10 provinces. I was like, what? 10 provinces fired. All of them. You can fire the Inspector General of Police, yes, but 10 provinces. But generally, I'm with you. Let's wait and see. Hold on. Can't hide it. Let's wait and see. I hope and guess the government of the day will open to such positive criticism. I hope so. This is what I mean, the problem in Zambia, most people that try to talk about these sensitive issues try to come out to insult, and this is what I'm against, that you can actually have a debate on certain issues, anything affecting the nation, in a very constructive criticism. They say constructive criticism. That's what I go for. I haven't defamed anybody in this video and I haven't accused anybody. I'm just talking from within what's happening at the moment. If you go on the list or even on the Facebook page of the president, he's given the list of the people he's fired as well. So I'm taking that information and putting it into and thinking about it, and I just feel like the same mistakes the PF government made is the same mistakes that the UPND government is going to start making if they're not very, very careful. Dr. Nevers Mumba once warned the UPND government, saying, if the UPND government doesn't work cautiously, diligently, they might just end up with one term. And I feel like those words are very, very strong words, and they have to be taken into consideration, because Zambians have got no patience at the moment. The patients are running out. Zambia wants to see positivity in the governance of the country. And I for one want to see young people being in leadership roles. We've got in New Zealand, the Prime Minister in New Zealand is female, 35 years of age. And they've got like below 30 cases of COVID. 30 cases of COVID. This is the young people that we're talking about. We're not talking about a 20-year-old. We're not talking about a 15-year-old when we mean years. We mean 40-year-old young people with fresh minds, incorporating old minds as advisors. But this has been me. I wanted to be here 30 minutes, and it's been 30 minutes. And thank you so much for watching. Leave the comments below. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel as I bring you these live videos. Sometimes I'll just do some videos of the analysis, and also just let's get debating. Let's hear your views. Let me know what you think, and may God bless Zambia. I'll see you guys next time in my videos, and take care of yourselves. Bye. It's been 30 minutes.